I'm speaking today with Tara Atkinson, a yoga therapist and teacher who teaches diverse communities in Portland, Oregon. I'm wondering if you could talk a little bit about teaching yoga on Zoom. Is this something that you were doing before the pandemic started, or is this something new to you?
I was absolutely not doing this more than 3 weeks ago, so it is brand new to me. I've taught classes for the last, probably about a dozen years. In fact, up until about 3 weeks ago, I was teaching a little over 20 regular classes a week, and very quickly, many of the places I started to teach closed down, and I was trying to figure out what options were out there, and over a weekend I taught myself how to use Zoom, and I've been teaching yoga on there, and surprisingly to me, being tech help to people, because that is not my not my strong suit.
What are you finding is possible to do online that you didn't think was possible before?
I think that there's long been the possibility for, video formats of exercise, whether that's, was simply like, VHS tapes way back when or, online versions. But I think for a lot of people, it was a last choice of possibilities. And, it certainly would have been for me, both as a teacher and as a participant. But it really is the only option we have available right now if you're looking to be led through an exercise routine. And I think people are so starved for some sort of social interaction and something that feels familiar in their life that it seems everyone has just fallen into it so quickly. I know my regular students that, I used to see multiple times a week are so happy to see familiar faces on their screen and to be led through a yoga practice by someone that they know. And many of them have actually invited in neighbors and friends who have joined us. And I'm actually more surprised that people who didn't know me well beforehand are enjoying, the classes as well and finding that as a good connection while we're all sort of shut into our own homes.
A lot of times people talk about yoga as something that can really help with stress and other things like depression. And we're seeing a rise right now in, certainly stress levels, but also depression and even suicide attempts. Can you talk about yoga as a means of therapy, really, mental therapy as well as physical?
Absolutely. I get literally several emails, each and every day from different people telling them how important that I've been teaching a 9 a.m. class Monday through Friday and how important that is to the start of their day and their well-being right now, that it's really keeping them sane and grounded. I try to always incorporate both in the beginning, particularly in the beginning and the end of my classes, mindfulness tools, or a mindfulness tool that we really focus on. We're implementing some extra exercises during class. So, lots of those is just coming back to breathing. It can be like that physical tether of your, feet or, your bottom on your yoga mat so that you're really feeling grounded in the space that you're in. I think it's so easy right now for our fears and our thoughts to feel like they're spiraling away from us that, and we almost become untethered. And don't really feel like we're at all settled. So things that can bring us back to our own body, to our own selves, the space that we're actually physically standing in at the moment, are huge helps. And it's really an integral part of any yoga practice. But there are also tools that can be used, the rest of the hours of the day when you're not actually on a yoga mat that I think people are finding really helpful right now.
Looking at what has happened, is there anything that surprised you or that you have learned since you started teaching yoga via Zoom?
When you're in a room in front of people, so much of that connection comes from, occupying space with people. Something yoga teachers talk about is just holding space for their students or for a room. And it really is just a really important part of finding calm in yourself and finding calm within a group of people. And I wouldn't have thought that it was possible to do that over a computer screen, to hold space for a group. And I'm finding over and over again that it's possible, that we really can find really meaningful social connections to people that we really can share and occupy space and similar experiences like in real time over our screens. I mean, I look forward to the point where we can actually do it in person again, but it's certainly possible to do where we don't have the ability to be together.
Are there other aspects of being face-to-face that you find that you miss?
Certainly being able to look at someone, particularly look at somebody in the eyes, or to truly feel their presence, I think are things that happen much better in person than they do over a screen. To really make eye contact, quote unquote eye contact with someone over the screen, you have to be staring into the camera and not into their, the reflection of their eyes on your screen. So those kinds of connections can be much harder. But I find that, if you actually are looking at people and you're, listening to them through, I've got headphones in my ears and things, that there really is a similar, though not identical, connection to people, like in a way that you can hold space to them, for them. But you have to be really in tune to what's sort of going on with the noise in the room and, the people that are there. In all of your rooms, I should say, because I've had, up to 40 people dial into these classes, and we're obviously all in different places.
What do you hope might come out of this situation?
I think my greatest hope now is more in the real-time moment rather than looking ahead to the future. It seems like the future holds so many unknowns for all of us right now. I guess my greatest hope is just that, that hour that I get to connect with my students every day and then the hours is their day afterwards, that they are really feeling a little more centered in themselves. I think like building any relationship, if you can think back to going and meeting your best friend for the first time or your partner for the first time, it takes a long time to build relationships with people, and they involve, doing different things and having a multitude of experiences with them. And I can imagine the day when I get to go back into a room and actually see the, faces in real time and real space of my students, and how much closer we will be for this virtual experience that we're having, likely over months. And that's kind of magical that you can keep building those connections with people even when you can't be present with them.
I have been speaking today with Tara Atkinson, who is a yoga therapist and teacher who is currently leading a daily yoga class on Zoom during the COVID-19 pandemic. I am Suzanne LaGrande, and this is We Are All in This Together.